Resident Evil Requiem just got some huge news dropped during the Capcom June 2025 spotlight, and it is changing everything we thought we knew about the next chapter in the franchise. We are headed back to Raccoon City 30 years after it was nuked, and during that event they gave us new details regarding the gameplay. We got to see third and first person perspective gameplay. They spoke about Grace Ashcroft being the protagonist of this game, but they also spoke about Leon Kennedy and why he wasn't chosen as the main protagonist. Will Leon be playable? We have a lot to cover, so check the video chapters for easy viewing, and let's get started. Real quick guys, this video is sponsored by Xsolla. Mobile developers can now direct US iOS users to external web shops for purchases, bypassing Apple's platform fees following a key court ruling. On April 30th, 2025, the US District Court ruled in Epic v. Apple that Apple must allow developers to redirect users to alternative payment methods in the US. This enables developers to guide players from iOS apps to web-based checkouts without violating App Store rules or paying Apple's fees. Now, Apple is expected to appeal this and has requested a stay pending appeal. And just note that any information represented here is simply that, just information. It is not intended to be legal advice, so please consult with your own legal counsel in this regard. This is truly an exciting business opportunity. Redirecting users from your iOS app to a web shop or browser-based checkout does not necessarily have to involve a workaround. It's becoming a best practice. Developers are already setting up direct shops to sell in-game currency, items, passes, and more, and seeing real gains. If you're looking for a fast, reliable, and professional way to set up your own web shop, enable Xsolla buy button for mobile games and boost your game's revenue. Xsolla has you covered. Xsolla has introduced a buy button for mobile games, a new direct-to-consumer solution offering secure, seamless purchases of virtual currency, items, and content through a branded browser-based checkout experience launched directly from their mobile game backed by Xsolla Web Shop. Xsolla Web Shop is a proven and accessible tool built specifically for this new era of direct-to-player monetization. It's already trusted by some of the top studios in the industry, and it's just as accessible for indie devs. The best part, Xsolla Web Shop only takes 5% of transaction fees, which is a huge savings from the traditional 30% fee on the Apple App Store and other major platforms. You get a fully customizable no-code shop that reflects your brand, integrates smoothly with your game, and gives players a direct way to support you. Plus, there's a built-in live ops tool, things like targeted offers and bundles, designed to increase both player spending and long-term retention. The integration is simple and it works seamlessly via the links from the major mobile app stores. So yeah, find more information about Xsolla Web Shop via the link in the description. And thanks so much to Xsolla for sponsoring this video. So I'd like to start off by talking about the new PlayStation blog post that was revealed that gave us new details regarding Resident Evil Requiem, and they gave us a new perspective on the return to Raccoon City. Now in the blog post, they actually spoke with one of the producers of Resident Evil Requiem, and they asked a ton of questions. The first question that they asked was, what does Requiem infer about the game's story? To which Masato said this, and I quote, "There are many layers to this title, a requiem for the protagonist, Grace Ashcroft, grappling with the loss of her mother 8 years ago, and a requiem for all of the people who were caught up in the Raccoon City incident, to name but just a few examples. But once you complete the game, I believe you'll find more levels of the meaning of the game's subtitle." They then said this, "When creating a story set in the ruins of Raccoon City, we felt it was fitting to have a character with a more personal connection to the city itself." The question was then asked, what made you want to bring back the Ashcroft family from the Resident Evil Outbreak series, and how does Grace's inexperience factor into the player's journey? To which they responded, "When creating a story set in the ruins of Raccoon City, we felt it was fitting to have a character with a more personal connection to the city itself. In this title, which aims to focus on horror, we introduce Grace as a new, relatable protagonist who is unlike previous protagonists Leon or Chris. By making Grace someone who reflects the player's own vulnerability, we believe players will enjoy a gameplay experience filled with tension and immersion. When walking alone down a dark hallway, her breathing becomes erratic. When an enemy suddenly appears, she jumps in fright. Grace is a character with a low tolerance for fear, but she grows throughout the story and eventually begins to confront various horrors with courage. By the time players finish the game, we are confident everyone will come to love her." It was then said by the developers, "With Resident Evil Requiem, we wanted to return to a story that continues the over overarching narrative rooted in Raccoon City and the secret machinations of the Umbrella Corporation. The interviewer then asked the question, "We clearly see the ruins of Raccoon City and Raccoon City Police Department in the reveal trailer. Why return to this iconic setting?" To which the producer said this, and I quote, "In recent mainline titles like Resident Evil 7 and Resident Evil Village, the series has explored the broader world of the Resident Evil universe by focusing on incidents involving the Winters family. With Resident Evil Requiem, however, we wanted to return to a story that continues that overarching narrative, especially as the series celebrates its 30th anniversary. We believe Raccoon City is the most fitting setting." The interviewer then asked the question, "Was Resident Evil Village's post-launch third-person perspective DLC a test for allowing both first and third-person perspectives? Why was that an important option to give to players?" So they said that the third-person mode was added to Resident Evil Village, was simply created in response to fan requests, and was not intended as a prototype. Our analysis of recent gameplay trends in the series revealed that many players tend to engage with either its first-person or third-person titles exclusively, and with that in mind, we've included both perspectives in Resident Evil Requiem, driven by the desire for all Resident Evil fans to enjoy the latest installment. The next question was posed, "What are the challenges in developing the game to be played so smoothly in both first and third person at any time?" To which the producer responded, "In modern 3D rendered games, some may think that changing the perspective is a simple task. However, in the survival horror genre, where delicate adjustments are made to evoke fear in the player, there are significant differences between first and third person perspectives. These differences affect not only character models and animations, but also fine-tuned balance, UI, sound design, and more. It's essentially like developing two separate games in parallel." It was then asked, "What would you say are the philosophy and themes of Resident Evil Requiem in comparison to previous games?" They responded, "The concept of the game is addictive fear, the sense of experience something terrifying, but you can't help wanting to know what happens next. You're compelled to keep going. Fear is something players tend to grow accustomed to over time, but with this title we've been more conscious than ever about maintaining a sense of tension throughout the experience." The reason behind this concept is that recent entries in the series, such as Resident Evil Village and Resident Evil 4, while still horror titles, leaned heavily into action, and with the latest installment, we wanted to return to a game that puts a strong focus on horror. They then asked, "Are there any notable graphical improvements you'd pinpoint in the trailer that really highlight improvements through increased familiarity with the Resident Evil engine?" To which the producer concluded with this and said, "The Resident Evil engine, which has powered many titles, continues to evolve. In the trailer, you'll notice many details expressed through the visuals, such as sweat trickling down Grace's skin, the delicate texture of her hair, and the subtle trembling of her lips, showing her anxiety and tension." So next up, let's address the situation behind Leon Kennedy. Well, according to Koshi Nakanishi, the director of the game, this has obviously been a pretty hot topic of discussion, but according to Koshi Nakanishi, he said this, and I quote, "Leon is a seasoned survivor and is a bad match for horror because he wouldn't react with fear to minor scares like a falling bucket," which from that perspective, it kind of makes sense, but it would be really weird to have a game set in Raccoon City and not have Leon show up at least. Obviously, he has been aged, like it's been 30 years since the events of the end of Resident Evil 3 to now, so having him show up at least would be pretty awesome. But their decision to not use Leon and rather use Grace does amplify the whole horror experience. They want it to be addictive horror, and to do that you need somebody that's really not used to all of those experiences, and Grace seems to be the perfect fit. However, I do think that they were kind of being coy whenever it comes to Leon's involvement. They said that he's not going to be the main protagonist, but that doesn't confirm or deny his appearance. According to many insiders, as well as like Dusk Gollum, he has said that Leon Kennedy will have an important role in the game, and he might have a significant role, like he might be one of the leads. But rather than being like the lead character, he will be a side character that just shows up. Perhaps he'll be playable at some sequences. It's hard saying. Again though, if you're returning to Raccoon City 30 years later, like it would be so bad to not have Leon show up at least. Like that reveal is going to be absolutely insane. I almost hope that they don't market any of it. Like whenever it comes to like Leon in the game, like if he actually does show up, they need to make it so that that's an experience we all get when we play the game. I don't want to see any teasers during like any trailers. Just make it so it looks like Grace Ashcroft is the main character and she's the only playable character That way, whenever we play the game, we see Leon show up and then boom, we get to play as him. It makes the most sense. Like, the story potential for that is absolutely insane. Like, the nostalgia that we would all get by seeing Leon in Raccoon City after the events of Resident Evil 3 would just be absolutely wild. I really hope it happens. But again, it's hard to say. If they do it, then just don't tell us at all. Let it be a surprise and I will be happy. From everything that we've been seeing about Resident Evil 9 Requiem, it just gets me more excited. Like, I can't wait to experience this game, to have the horror vibe like really back in an all new way. Being able to switch between first person and third person, going back to Raccoon City all these years later. It all seems like Resident Evil Requiem will live up to expectations. I think it definitely will, but only time will tell. Guys, let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments section. Are you going to be playing the game in first person or third person? Do you want to see Leon as a playable character? And what's your take on what we've seen so far about Resident Evil Requiem? Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe with your notifications turned on so you're not missing out on any future gaming news. And until next time, this has been Wes, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video.